Hi, my name is Kim, and welcome to my brand new channel, My Big Fat Life. This is where I'm going to document vlog style my journey for bariatric surgery. Now, I live in Canada, and we have a very flawed or broken system, whatever you want to call it. And basically that means that when you are looking for a surgeon or a specialist, or for example, bariatric surgery, you've got a long wait. At least months, but mostly years. And bariatric surgery was a 5-year wait. So at the urging of my husband 5 years ago, I see my doctor and I asked him to put me on the list to send a referral. So he did that. And I don't know exactly how long ago it was, if it was 5 years, 4 years, 6 years, I can't remember. But I was on the list. My husband as well. He was on the list years before I did get on. And my husband ended up getting calls and went through 2 weeks of the 3-week pre-op diet. So he was a week away from surgery and it had to be called off. Now, for my husband, he's got some issues, and I do too. But his issues are he's got MS. He's in a wheelchair. At that time, he had a tooth break off, and he was going to have to go and get it out. And then all of a sudden, he had these spasms in his legs, like electrical shocks, that he would normally get anyway, but they weren't these ones were intense, like no relief whatsoever. So he couldn't even sit upright. So it ended up that he had to cancel his surgery. And now he's talking to the bariatric clinic. And right now he's got a call scheduled for 3 months from now to see where he's at on his healing journey. And because this bariatric clinic is about 2-hour drive away, so it's a long way to go when you're not feeling well. And so anyways, he's going to get another call in 3 months. Me, I kind of went through these past few years thinking, I don't know if I want to do bariatric surgery. I don't know if I need it. I should be able to lose the weight on my own. And that is a lie. I have zero willpower. And my husband would always say, wouldn't that be cool if we could get in and get our surgery done at the same time? That way we could be doing the pre-op diet together. We could be doing the post-op diet and the meal prepping and the cooking, the same for each of us at the same time. It would make it easier, for sure. So but I was still in the back of my head going, I don't know if I want to do this, and it wasn't that I was afraid of having a surgery. I'm actually a pro at having surgeries. I've had a lot of them, but it wasn't that I was afraid of it. I just didn't figure I needed it. Then I was supposed to have a surgery back in February, just a little day surgery. And I went for pre-op assessment test, which was blood test and an ECG. And my ECG turned out that I had a heart rate of 130 some beats per minute to 140, and that was like resting. So immediately the anesthesiologist said, not touching her until we get this thing figured out. Why is my heart rate so, high? So I immediately got in to see my cardiologist the following day. And he mentioned, I'm going to butcher this, I know it, but atrial fibrillation, AFib, is basically what it's called. And he told me that I was at a high risk for stroke. Whew. Well, that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, okay, good enough. I went for more blood tests and an echo. And went back in to see him. He hooked me back up to the ECG machine. And he says, yeah, he goes, you have AFib. And you are at a higher risk for stroke. What that means for me right now, is there anything I can do to prevent this? Or what happens if I do have one? Am I going to know this? Just my head was just spinning. Anyway, put me on medication, and now I'm on blood thinners. So that's fine. Now I get ready for work one day, and I open up my mailbox and I look in, and there was a letter for me. And when I looked at it, it said Bariatric Clinic, and I was like, woo. And then I was like, wait a minute. I just sounded excited about getting this letter, whereas I was thinking, I don't need to have this surgery. I can do it on my own. Lies, lies, lies. I just tell myself lies all the time. But anyways, now all of a sudden I feel a little bit excited. So I take the letter, I put it in my bag, I go to work, I tell one of the girls at work, I got my letter from the bariatric clinic. Oh, that's good. What are you going to do? And I opened it up, and it was a questionnaire. And I said, well, I'm going to fill it out and I'm going to send it back. This is something that I think will be good for me. And not just because of the stroke problem, but I also have arthritis in my back, and I tore the meniscus in my knee, and so I have arthritis there. I went to see a surgeon, which again was a couple of years before I got in to see him, about my knee, and we discussed that I'm not going to jump right into surgery for my knee, and I'm going to go back and see him in 6 months. Well, I'm thinking, take the weight off, that should make it easier on my knee, and see how we go from there. So, everything's kind of falling into place. It might be a little scattered, but it's falling into place. So that's fine. That's fine. Take a break, Kim. So now my husband, he's been in the hospital for a few weeks, and he'll be there for a little while because of the MS. He needs to stay there for the proper care. And he is scheduled to talk to the bariatric clinic in about 3 months. And I don't know how quick things are going to move for me. I sent back the questionnaire about a week and a half ago, and I don't know what the next step is, because my husband doesn't remember much about his next step, like what happened, how quick, or whatever. But I filled it all out, and I included a printout of my last 6 months of medicine, prescriptions that I've taken, and I just am waiting to hear back. I'm looking forward to this now. Still a little bit nervous because it's going to mean that I have to be very diligent in my meal prep and my diet going forward. I'm not looking forward to 3 weeks of shakes. Those things are just nasty, but I'll do my best. I'm not used to, I hear that won't be able to drink water through a straw because it'll cause gas and pain in the stomach. Won't be able to have ice water, and that's the only way I like to drink my water is with some ice. And I'm going to have to chew my food for a long time. And as a mother of 3 kids, I learned, to basically scarf my food down because one of the kids always needed something, and I wanted to make sure, I'd eat, and then I was available to take care of them for their things. And so now I know I've got to start practicing the chewing slowly, chewing to basically puree it in my mouth, I guess, before I swallow it. And, my chocolate. I'm not going to be able to eat chocolate anymore, but I need that. I need to not eat chocolate anymore. I think that was my biggest downfall for gaining weight. That and the menopause. The menopause really kind of put close to 100 pounds on me extra. And I was overweight before that, but if I could lose 100 pounds, I would be so, so happy. I'm kind of concerned about all the moving and the exercising, whether it be walking or joining a gym or anything like that. I'm kind of concerned because of my back. I have some respiratory issues, but again, that could be because of my weight. But the arthritis in my back and my knee and stuff like that, am I going to be able to do as much exercising as I need to help facilitate the weight loss? It's just, there's so many unknowns. And one of the things is I want to be able to take this ring off the normal way. And I can't right now. And I don't want to cut it off. But I want to be able to take the ring off and put it back on. And I haven't been able to do that for over a year. My fingers have gotten so chubby. So that's my journey thus far. I'm hoping I hear back soon from the bariatric clinic. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but the bariatric clinic that we go to, or that I will be going to as well, is about a 2-hour drive away from where we live. And it's going to make it a little bit rough come surgery day for me because I'm not going to be able to do any driving, probably even to come home the next day. I don't know. So I'll have to rely on one of my children to come up and pick me up and I hate driving in that city, but, it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to getting healthier. Um, I'm looking forward to wearing a pair of jeans again. I'm not happy with my weight. I'm not happy with the way I look. I'm not happy with the way I feel. And do I think bariatric surgery is the only answer? Right now, yeah, I do. And I'm not looking forward to, like I said, the not being able to drink ice water. I'm not looking forward to the possible hair loss that usually comes along with, like post-op. And basically, I think that that's part of, you go on a high protein diet after the surgery, and probably there's so much protein and not enough of other vitamins in the food that you're eating, which will probably trigger some of that hair loss, but it won't be the first time I was bald. I lost my hair a while back to chemo. So if I lose it, I lose it. It's not the end of the world. It'll grow back. I just kind of want to do this and get it over with and get started and start to feel good about myself. Right now, if there's cake, give me a piece. I'll take another piece. It's just like chocolates. I've even got a bag of chocolates in my work bag that, my coworker says, "Here, I got some chocolates for you. There's none in there that I like, so give it to Kim. Kim will eat it. Kim eats everything, it's kind of like Mikey, that commercial, and Life Brand cereal. But, I know I've got to deal with up here too. I've got to get in my head. I've got to get some things out of my head. But I got to get in my head, and I've got to get the right mindset for this. I know that it was just a matter of time before all this weight would start coming on me, because I was always a bigger eater, especially for the size of me, and always brought up to, like, there's people in this world that are starving and you're not cleaning off your plate. And, that's bad to have that mentality. And it just, I don't know. I went through some childhood traumas. I don't know if that has affected me with the way I eat. I went through adult trauma. There's all kinds of things that are in my head that I have to work on and get into my head the right thoughts. So I'm looking forward to that. I feel I've done pretty good so far. I've battled, I still battle with depression. I'm on meds for that. But, I feel like I'm ready for this. I really am ready. And hopefully, me and my husband can get it done at the same time, or at least me get it done before him. So that way there I'm used to doing the pre-op diet. I know what it's like. He already went through 2 weeks of the 3-week diet before he had to get canceled, but I'll know what it's like. So when he's grumpy, I'm not like, what are you so grumpy for? I'll know why, because I'll be grumpy myself. And then I'll be prepared on the post-op diet. So, I'll start having a routine, available and things like that. And so I'm looking forward to it. And I didn't think I was going to be looking forward to it. But when I seen the letter and I was like, woo, I shocked myself. And I told my husband that. I said, I'm actually looking forward to it. And he said, good. I'm older than my husband, and by a few years, 10 years. And like with him and his health condition and whatever, he relies on me an awful lot. And I rely on me an awful lot. Like I do a lot of the stuff around the house. Not saying he doesn't. Don't take me the wrong way. But I do a lot of the physical things, or I used to, I should say. I used to do a lot of the physical things around the house. I used to go out and shovel in the winter, when we had snowstorms, but now I can't. And I can't walk up the street. I get winded. I've got respiratory issues. I've got the arthritis in the back, the knee, just so much that's going on that I just feel like I'm going to collapse and die. And, like as I can't get my breathing, I've got sleep apnea, so I've got to sleep with the CPAP machine, and same with him. It's just the things that have piled on and piled on. It's a snowball effect. And I want to get it over with. So I'm going to take you on this journey with me. If you would like to follow, please hit subscribe. The notification bell so you know when the next video will come in. I'm going to try and post with some normalcy, like maybe if time allows and there's any new feelings I've got or that I'm working through, it'd be good to talk them out. So maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'll try and post videos. Of course, when it comes time for the actual appointments and the surgeries, the diet stuff and whatever, then things will come more frequently. But for now, where I'm just in the whole, just heard from them, I've got a ways, I think, to wait before I start, hearing and moving forward with the actual surgery date. Part of me hopes that it's after my birthday so I can enjoy cake. I'll be 60 this year, so I want to have a piece of birthday cake. It's another milestone for me. We're not guaranteed to be around for another birthday. I know that better than some people. Because I've had to suffer through health issues. And now, to see that this is something that could help me lose the weight and get me in a healthier state, I'm all for it. You know, this body is a temple. It's a round temple right now, but hopefully I get to the point where I've lost enough weight that I'm happy. I'm going to the gym. I want to be a gym rat. You know, just go to the gym and be there, and maybe not go 2 or 3 times a day like I've heard of some people doing, but go there on a consistent basis. You know, look forward to it. Like, whatever, you know. I want to get healthy. And right now, this is the only option that I see for me, because I can't lose weight on my own. I just can't. But thanks for listening to me. If you have any comments, if you've gone through bariatric surgery, if you're on the wait list for bariatric surgery, let me know. I know there's probably going to be some negative comments. You know, that goes with having a YouTube channel, I guess. But just keep your negative comments to yourself. I don't need them. I got enough negativity going on in my head. But yeah, just follow along. And hopefully I'll be able to update you on me and my husband's progress as we get going with this. But thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great time.